So you look like and I hate calling people this because you're not. And I don't call my guys this any longer. And to be clear, I am not a cameraman. I'm not a cinematographer. I have a vision. That has got me where I am today. Right? I have an idea of what I want. I've got an idea of a story, and I hire the best to do it. So based on your background of your image that I see, you are a storyteller.
Sure.
A cinematographer. You're not just a cameraman, correct?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate.
Why are you being so... Don't be so humble, man. If you're a storyteller, you're a storyteller, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really worry too much about whether or not I'm a cinematographer, but I'm a storyteller for sure. I'm like you. I like cameras. I really like getting.
Oh, don't put me on a camera. I'm absolutely... I don't even know, like... And all the team that works with me all around the world are going to shake their heads that I've been around them for 5-6 years. I still get confused. Like, what is an aperture again? And what? Like, I know what ISO is.
Sure.
But shutter speed and aperture, aren't they the same thing? And you're going to be like, Robbie, they're not. Okay, yeah. I know. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely am a storyteller. You know, I think for me, I just want to use whatever tools I have available to tell the story that I'm trying to tell. So if somebody else can do it better, great. You know, I've had other people help me on projects, and I work on other people's projects, and sometimes I'm not the best guy for the shot, but you know, I'm going to find them if there's somebody else, you know.
Sure. Well, Daniel Workman, welcome to the Blood Origins podcast. I know that we have interacted back and forth on a number of different things, and super excited to have you here on the Blood Origins podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's I've been really excited to talk to you. Been following along since we connected. So my background is in filmmaking and anthropology. So I'm from Southeast West Virginia. I grew up hunting with my dad and my brothers.
You don't look like an individual that is from Southeast Virginia, by the way.
Southeast West Virginia.
Southeast West Virginia.
Yeah.
What? How is that possible? Southeast West. Oh, West Virginia. The
West
actual.
Virginia.
Okay, sorry.
It's
a
state. It's
the
a state.
Okay.
People from the states miss that. So yeah, I'm from Southeast West Virginia. I'm an Appalachian. I've been out here in Denver, Colorado for 15. Well, I've been in Colorado for 15 years, and Denver for a few.
Dude, I just flew out of Denver. I was in Denver like Monday through Wednesday last week.
Oh, great! What'd you do?
I took 2 veterans hunting. I took them turkey hunting, and I know this is one of the first rabbit holes that we'll go down, but I'm telling you now, it is the coolest experience. Like, I don't get to hunt very much anymore. I get to go with people hunting, and there is no better satisfaction. And I love turkey hunting. Don't get me. I love it. I'm disease afflicted when it comes to turkey hunting. And we had this veteran who's never turkey hunted before, never really been in the woods turkey hunting, so he doesn't actually know what's happening.
Right.
And we got up early morning. We drove this truck up into this sort of draw. I said, turn the truck off. And I yelped out the back of the truck, yeah. And halfway through the yeah, it's like, pow! And I literally put my head in that little back window of a truck, and I, excuse my language, I said, everybody get the fuck out the truck right now. And people are bailing out the truck. We position, and it was the classic turkey hunt. The turkey responded, came in, hung up at 90 yards, strutted, gobbled, then disappeared. So then we moved off and we went down to the next draw, and then we got in. I was like, all right, that turkey's just here. It's like over this ridge. Yelped again, and he's 40 yards behind us. So everyone's like scrambling, like finding a space to hide, and did the same thing. Went on the ridge, gobbled at everything. Every crow call he hammered. Crow call hammered. Not me. I wasn't crow calling. It was the crows. And he then just decided, okay, I'll just there's a hen over there, and there was truly a hen over there. He just came down silently off the hill, was within like 90 yards of me, and he came within like, I don't know, 50 to 60 of my veteran hunter. And I just soft purred and yelped to just stop him and made a look around, and the veteran shot him. And the coolest part about the whole thing is, again, from a storytelling perspective, right? The veteran, we sat him on a rock and we asked him like what the experience was like. And he's like, veterans go to war because they go and they love it because of the high that they get, this contact high of somebody shooting at them and them shooting back and actually, taking life. There's just this high tied to it. And so when veterans come home, they have to find that high somewhere, and they are getting into drugs to get that high, or alcoholism, or adulterous relationships and whatnot. And he said, Robbie, you gave me a high this morning that I didn't think was possible outside of combat, and I didn't think was possible sober. And I was just like, wow. And the dude was like crying, and obviously he's a veteran, so every second word is an F-bomb. And as a camera crew, as a cinematographer crew, we were laughing because we'll just put, instead of a bleep, we'll put like a turkey gobble as he's like.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, Denver, Colorado is where you based. How long have you been in Denver?
I've been in Denver for a few years, maybe 2022. I've been bopping around Colorado for the last 15 years, but just with, video work, it's just Denver's the place to be. I can't leave Colorado. It's just too great. So, this is.
Yeah, it does seem like there's a lot of video production. There's a lot of you guys in Denver. Is that because production studios are coming to Denver? What's going on there?
Yeah, we don't have any sound stages here, but we do, a lot of car commercials come through. There's a lot of software commercials and stuff like that. So there is a good commercial scene happening here. And so, yeah, we've got a tight crew. The film industry here is just really, it's just like an amazing community. I've never really worked outside of the Denver scene, but from everybody I know who's worked in LA or Atlanta or wherever else, New York, they rave about, how great this community is. And I feel at home. And,
Did you move to Denver to do this work? Were you already doing this work in West Virginia?
Sure. So I could, maybe I'll give you a little background on how I got into this. So, because it all involves the film that I'm making, which we're going to talk about today, called BEARDOGS. So I moved out to Colorado when I was 18 in 2009. And I came out here to ski and snowboard. And so I moved right outside of Aspen.
I was going to say, you probably moved there to be a ski bum.
Yeah.
You got the ponytail for it already. Did you have a ponytail then?
Yeah, it's come and gone. It's come and gone. Right now it's here. It's just after I get a few too many bad haircuts, I go, that's the last haircut. I'm growing it out, So yeah, I moved to Colorado in 2009 to ski, and I kind of was going to some community colleges in and out and studying anthropology. I was really into anthropology. The school that I was going to didn't offer a full program, so I just took all the anth classes that I could and jetted from there, and then did a bunch of traveling around the world and trying to tell stories, and hadn't really developed, like the visuals, my visual style as a storyteller yet. And so I went back to school, and I studied cinema and anthropology, got my degrees in those finally, and moved to the Front Range, moved from mountains to the Front Range so that I could start working in film and start, I'd been working as a photographer for a long time, like around 8 years. But whenever I discovered the film that I'm making right now, BEARDOGS, it started as a photo project. And
cool.
It's kind of what led me into filmmaking and to the film world in general, because I was happy with photography until I ran into this project, and I go, you can't tell this story with photos. It's just too much, So it was too loud, it was too fast, it was too exciting. And so I was just, I sat on it for a long time, put it on the back burner, and said, I need to figure out how to tell stories with motion, and I'll be back.
So Did you have to work? Did you work in the cinematography field in Colorado just to make ends meet? Obviously, that's how we all typically do it, right? Make ends meet whilst you're doing your passion project on the side, really, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's all, it's like you don't end up in this crazy field if you don't have something to say, I don't think, it's like we do what we got to do to make ends meet. And, I love my work. I love running cameras. I love being on sets. I love all of that kind of stuff. It's really chaotic in terms of, being a freelancer. It's you never know what you're in for. It's project based, so that can be really exciting and really stressful at different times. But it's all, it's like I couldn't have worked on this film without having that free time. Anytime my work slows down, I get even busier with my own work.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So tell me, obviously you reached out to me, you had heard about me, you've watched Lionheart, I assume.
I've watched pieces of it, so I'll tell you something.
Dude, like, now we stop the podcast right here. Like, that's it. Like, done. Time out. Like, you haven't watched Lionheart?
I had my producer watch it because there are similar subjects.
Yeah.
And I'm still in the middle of making my film. And I've been having this in my world, telling the story about bear hunting with hounds for, this started.
I don't think there is a film. Is there a film out there with bears and dogs?
No, I don't think so. So that was the thing is, I've been mulling this over for almost 10 years, since 2015, when I started the photo project. And in 2023, I started shooting the film. And then recently...
And you're shooting it by yourself, right?
That's right. So I've...
Single cameraman,
except for a few days where I'm doing interviews and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I've got a friend in West Virginia who has some equipment.
Southeast West Virginia.
West Virginia, yeah. Need to figure out a way to put north in there. So the northern part of Southeast West Virginia. Then we'll have all of them. Yeah, so we're shooting most of it by myself, almost all of it, 40 days in the field over an entire year. And
are you done shooting now, or are you still shooting?
Until I will keep shooting, because this is a passion of mine. This is something, I think it's bigger than just a single film or a single thing. It's like, for me, we can get into this in a little bit, but this way of hunting is, at risk of going away. So,
well, it's the most vilified. That's why we built Lionheart, right? It's the most, arguably the most vilified, hard to understand, hard to explain hunting practice that there is, which is using a dog, and I'll break this down, using a dog that everyone perceives as a very domesticated animal that sits on the couch to chase a predator, regardless of what that predator is.
Right.
And to them, it's just like, there's all sorts of elements of fair chase. There's all sorts of elements of it's not fair on the dog doesn't want to do it. It makes it easy. All those things, all those connotations are wrapped up into this practice.
Totally. There's so many complicated aspects to it, but I think, just so I can get back to the Lionheart thing, I really didn't want to, because I felt like I was the only one doing this for so long with hounds. And, to be honest, only in the last 5 years was I aware that this was being done for cats as well. Like, I just, in my little part of the US, where I came from in Appalachia, and all I see is the houndsman with hunting bears. But I said, whenever I finish my edit, I am very excited to watch Lionheart, because I don't want it to impact me in my edit.
Or that's what I was going to say. Either, number one, you're not watching it because you don't want it to influence what it looks like and how it feels, but you also don't want it to, you've got to stick to your own narrative and your own subject matter. Yeah.
Right. But I'm dying to watch it. I'm excited to watch it. My producer said it was awesome. But she also she assured me that they're very different.
Very different.
So yeah, that's really great. But I've heard nothing but great things. Every time when I started pushing out BEARDOGS, I'll tell you, probably 100 different people were sending me links to Lionheart, and I was like, all right, I know this. I know what's going on here now, and a lot of people recommended I reach out to you, and yeah, so that's why we're here. You know, it's like we both have an interest in this right here. For me, like you said, there's a lot of politics involved with hound hunting. And this is something that I think maybe you spent time on in your film, but my film is more, it's
Yours, based on what I've seen, I've only seen your teaser trailer. Yours seems a lot rawer.
Mhm.
Is that a word? Rawer?
Raw.
Raw?
More raw, sure.
Yeah. And a South African and a Southeast West Virginian trying to say raw. You know, maybe we'll just blend them together. It just seems raw. It seems like very like hectic, also raw, hectic. And I'll say this, and it was one of the things that I felt when I watched the teaser trailer that I was like, shit, that's an element that I didn't have to deal with. Is a perception of ruralness, redneckness that is Appalachia. That is the culture of Appalachia. And then add on top of that perceptions, culture, ideologies of this guy's dumb, this guy's uneducated, this guy doesn't understand how to treat animals, has no respect for animals, that kind of thing. Almost amplified because of the Appalachia redneck culture.
Yeah, I think, you know, whenever I started this film or started exploring this project in 2015, I was just getting really involved with photography and wanted to tell stories. I was really into photojournalism and wanted to just documentary photography in general. And I wanted to tell stories visually, but using sensibilities from what I learned in anthropology. So, you know, I kind of, you know, view myself as maybe like a gonzo anthropologist, somebody who's like, you know, just like, I'm not doing necessarily academic field work here, but it's absolutely influenced. Like my ethics and my sensibilities are totally informed by the anthropological lens. And so, yeah, I started with just my curiosity. I just said, this is so crazy. You know, I grew up around these bear hunters. I grew up around people like this, but even within Appalachian culture, it's like, you know, you can go on down the line of subcultures. You know, we've got our American culture at large, and then we've got, you know, Eastern culture, the East Coast that Appalachia is kind of a part of. And then you go in further and further and further. And, you know, even within Appalachia, bear hunters are really not accepted in a lot of even that culture. So I knew that it was only after I had like gone out.
Why are bear hunters not accepted in that Appalachian culture?
So there's a lot of reasons that people dislike bear hunters. Hunters probably are their biggest. Other hunters are probably their biggest critics. Just with the practices of chasing bears and just having dogs run around all the time. You know, in West Virginia is one of the only states that allows year-round training. So it's just like, you know, it's pretty loud in the woods a lot with dogs running around all the time, because some people have, you know, 4 to 12 dogs. And
Yeah.
you know, so there's a lot, and almost nobody hunts alone. This is a social thing. You know, this is one of the things that I was trying to focus on in the film, that this is cultural identity. It's not just people want to focus on the practice, and I want people to focus on the culture and the meaning. So it's something that people really, that even because having grown up there, I actually had no idea what bear hunting was. I just knew that, like, you know, my parents and everyone that I know are just like, those are just rednecks. Those guys are, you know, rowdy and they're knuckleheads, and we don't mess with bear hunters, you know, because they're, you know, it's like it is, West Virginia is really rural. There's not a lot of like there's not a lot of, the law isn't around in every nook and cranny of all the hollers. So like, there have been problems with bear hunters where, they're getting the dogs are getting into people's properties, and bear hunters are cutting down the fences, and they're breaking through stuff. And if you piss the wrong one off, they might burn down your cabin. Like, it's all kinds of stuff, that people just have these bad opinions. But, I don't know. I never saw that, but I understand that that was my understanding, that these people just have absolutely no respect for anyone or anything around them. And that's kind of like what I understood of them growing
100%.
up.
That would be a general perception, right?
Sure. That was what I kind of perceived them as my whole life. And I had friends growing up in high school who were bear hunters, and I I just didn't really press that far into it. But when I was at a bar one night, this is how I started on the photo project. And I ran into one of my old friends who's a bear hunter, and he goes, "I'm going in the morning. You coming with me?" And I'm like, well, you know what? Like, I actually, because I told him no my whole life, like through high school. But I was like, you know what? I actually, like, if I can bring my camera, like, I'll go. And that's how I went out there, and just kind of like your veteran friend, just being totally flushed with adrenaline, and like, wow, I didn't know you could feel this much from being sober and just doing something. And I just had that. I went out there and I go, oh my, like, this is insane, like running, like driving around fast and chasing dogs and seeing bears jump out in front of the truck. It's really exciting. It's really, really hard to deny how exciting it is. But it was only that's what hooked me. And then what kept me there was the culture, and, trying to understand, because I understood that. I understood the adrenaline of it. But I wanted to understand everything else. I wanted to understand the relationships with the dogs, the relationships to the land, the relationships, the cultural, social ideologies that come with this, and all that kind of stuff. So there was a lot to unpack. And luckily, I had just been trained. I'm like fresh out of school for studying culture and that kind of stuff. So I was ready to put to use that,
Yeah.
and jump in there.
Yeah, it's funny you did the accent, because that, again, just the accent itself has a perception of redneckness, dumb, uneducated, disrespectful, right? I don't care about anybody. I don't care about anybody's property. I'm going to do what I do.
It's, like, this is the reason why I chose my subject. Kish Justice is a bear hunter. He's a he's a scientist. He works in,
There's
like,
no
bio.
way he's a scientist, dude. From
He
that
absolutely is
trailer,
a
the
scientist.
way that you did that trailer was like, I was like, this guy is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, he's a scientist by trade. He works for, like, a biochem company up in northern West Virginia.
wow.
And yeah, he's highly educated. These people are not stupid. It's like, I love it. And he'll tell you, he's just like, he loves being a hillbilly, like. And this is the thing about West Virginians. I think a lot of them, not I can't speak for all West Virginians, but, they like that this is that they're misunderstood sometimes, so that it doesn't bother them, because they just they have their culture. And, like, West Virginians are often the butt of a lot of jokes in this country. But yeah, these aren't ignorant people. These are highly educated people. They're intelligent. And I think that's what is so exciting about the character that I've chosen, is that he's gentle, he's ferocious, he's a father. We're following, for the short film, we're following, I'm mostly sticking to Kish Justice and his 7-8 year old daughter. And that relationship is just so relatable to everyone. And this is how we show the humanity. And one of the things is about this is I'm not trying to advocate for or against bear hunting. Like, that's not my job. Like, my job, I'm not a bear hunter. I do care about hunting, but this isn't about my opinions or my agenda on bear hunting. Like, I have a responsibility, the way that I'm telling the story, I think, to give a fair portrayal of this is what I've decided that I think it should happen, because I think so many people would come out of here. You get somebody who's not from the area come here and try to. I just don't think they could accurately tell the story. You know, I don't think they would be fair enough. I don't think, and so yeah, it's really important to me to catch everything and be honest about the the good and the bad and the hard, and the truth matters to me. And I think people have a lot of opinions. I've learned on bear hunters, people who are in this is the biggest thing, is that like bear hunters have opinions on other bear hunters, big ones, and deer hunters, turkey every other hunter has big opinions on houndsmen. And then the general public, most of them don't know anything about it, and then they learn and they use a very small amount of information to make sweeping judgments. And then there are people who think they know a lot about it, but they actually probably don't have as much information as you'd think. And so this film is for everyone. It's for everyone on every side of all of the aisle. It's like it should be inclusive in the sense that people will learn what this is and how it's important as a culture to these people. It's about learning and looking at the nuance and not just jumping into a radical generalization or stereotype or opinion. I'm not trying to get anyone to land anywhere. I'm just trying to get people to have the information they would need to make an educated decision. Like I'm okay with people.
But you're not asking them to make an educated decision on whether bear hunting is good or bad. I think based on what you've just said and what I saw just very briefly, it sounds like you're wanting people to have more information to make a better judgment around who these hillbilly Appalachian bear hunters are.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it really is just this isn't representative of hound hunting culture at all. It's like this is a very like the reason why I'm interested in this is because this is not something. This is like it's one extreme of American culture that most people have no idea that exists. But it's also, and I think it's interesting, and it's at risk of going away. And whether that's good or bad, I'm not trying to make that call. I'm just trying to capture it for what it is and do that authentically. And yeah, it's really. But I think whenever I went in, I was uprooting all of my preconceived notions and all of these things that I had beliefs about these people. And it took a long time. I was changing as a person. When you spend this much time with people,
of
and
course.
I'm not sure that I was convinced. I was trying not to pass judgment, but I was, there was some stuff that.
Well, it could have gone both ways, right? It could have been like you actually developed more of oh, I understand why these guys are hated so much because
right.
I've gotten an inside look and this is not good.
Right.
Or it's the opposite, like, oh wow. Just like you said, like going that first time going with your buddy.
Right.
Oh man, I had no idea about the adrenaline, the insanity, the craziness, the rush.
Yeah. 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 It's really important, I think, for me to be honest about how it's impacted me, but that's not what I'm trying to, like the film is, I'm a part of it. I'm obvious, it's like, how it is when you're making a film, it's a big piece of you, no matter how objective you're trying to be. But, it's a task that I'm willing to take on to try to be as fair as I possibly can. But it's really, okay. So my idea was, have you ever spent any time watching any ethnographies, like especially any ones from,
you're gonna have to dumb that down. What's an
so,
what's an ethnography? Is that an autobiography?
No. So an ethnography is a data collection practice for anthropologists. It's like archaeologists are coming up with ideas about dead civilizations, and ethnographers are in the field studying alive cultures.
Okay.
And so like there's a lot of different mediums. Some of them are books, some of them are, but it's a lot of just collecting information. But there, I really have an affinity for ethnographies that I've seen that were made mostly around the 40s, 50s, and 60s when anthropology was really visual anthropology and visual ethnographies were getting pretty big. Where, Western people were going into all parts of the world and just with a camera or whatever else and just filming people's practices without telling them it was good or bad, just showing it.
This is what they do.
This is what they're doing in education, like, so yeah, there's a lot of, I was used to watching ethnographies of like these people who seemed, and the way they're shot, like kind of really is shot in a way that doesn't focus a lot on what they're saying because you can't really understand them anyways. It's just like these, it's not cinema, it's like
Yeah,
cameras.
it's almost like you're looking through a window
Right.
into what they do every single day, whether
Totally,
it's in the
like
hut or going through the forest or.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, like some of them, are as much as just like audio recordings of people chopping wood and chatting. And it's like, that's a very valuable piece of anthropological data if you're trying to understand a certain thing about a culture. But I just had this idea, whenever I was shooting, and I was so in love with ethnography and just capturing the rawness and the realness. I thought it was so poetic and beautiful. And, the ones that really left an impression on me were ones that are in South Africa, Botswana, those places where the native African people, they were like, it shows the whole process of them hunting and killing a giraffe, and it's brutal to watch. It's like watching that kind of stuff can be difficult, but it's, that's real, that's raw, it's like that's how we learn. So my idea is just like, why can't we do this with our own, why can't I do this within my own culture and just show what it is, and without trying to just put out
the here and now, like in 2025.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Because it is valuable. But I think there's so much noise happening right now that like it's just blown my mind that nobody's made anything of significance on the culture that I'm covering. It's so vibrant. It's so big. It's so loud. And whether it's good or bad is not really up to me. It's like, it's there, and I'm there to capture it,
So let's talk about where you're at right now with the making of BEARDOGS.
Mm-hmm.
Are you finished? I know you're looking for funding.
Right.
You're in a fundraising sort of, hey, I've put all this time and effort. I have to eat every other day, so I'm looking to help finish this project.
Yeah. So right now I've shot over 100 hours of footage over 40 days. I've got a ton of footage that I shot in 2023, and I've been filling in interviews over 2024. And every time I go back, I want to shoot more. It's just, like I just love going out there and shooting. But right now we are in post-production for the short. And so our goal is we actually just finished our crowdfunding campaign. It was a month long. It ended yesterday. But we will have another way for people to donate because we hit 85% of our goal. So
what was your goal?
Our goal was $38,000 for post.
Okay.
And that includes festival travels, all that kind of stuff, like submissions and traveling and all that kind of stuff. So, and then, just color, legal fees, and everything that goes into a big film. So this is a short, it's 15 to 20 minutes. I put around $20,000 traveling back and forth over a year and a half of my own money. And then we wanted to raise money for post-production. And so I've been working on the edit. I'm in there. I've been inside the edit for the last, since we started. So I do have an editor now, and we're getting started on it. He's made a couple of cuts and we're cutting it down, but the film is coming to life, and we've got enough, and we've got visions for a docuseries and or a feature-length film. And so the short is really a jumping off point. We wanted to make it as good as we can. I could edit it, I could color it, I could do the sound, but it'll be a lot better to get like real professionals in there doing that kind of stuff. So we're just getting the best people that we can to make the best story that we can so that we have a good shot during while we go on the festival circuit.
So the short will go into the film festival circuit.
That's the goal. Is we're gonna put the short into film festivals, and with the intention of pitching to after we get attention with that. And we're expecting a successful circuit because the amount of attention that we've gotten so far has been pretty incredible. So yeah, we're expecting to do well there, and we're expecting to tell an amazing story that's different.
And once you get attention, is that when you decide, okay, we now need to build out an hour-long, hour 15 full-length documentary, or a docuseries? Does a docuseries, what is that, like 4 20-minute pieces that all blend into each other?
Yeah, like for us, I have, with the footage that we've organized it a lot, and it can be organized in a lot of different ways. But I've narrowed it down to I know that we could make 6 45-minute pieces that have different focuses for each one on different aspects of it. And if we would do that, we'd have to raise a little bit more money for production, but not much, but otherwise I've got everything that we need for a feature, and we're simultaneously preparing for a feature while we're making the short. We're just doing stepping stones here. And so, yeah, we're really just hoping to find partners at some point who have good ideas for where this goes, where the ceiling is for it, and distribution plans. This is like my job. I keep telling myself, people keep asking me what we're doing and all that stuff, and this is my baby. But I keep going like I need to be focused on finishing the story. It's like, this is where I need to be. So I've got a lot of talent. I've got some talented people on my team who are working with me to come up with that trajectory for us. But my goal is to just be as in the story and in the edit as I can. Nobody else can tell this for me. It's
sure,
like,
of course.
Right.
All right. So let's if people are like listening, they've listened to you, they're like, man, it's a cool film, I want to see it, I want to get involved. So the crowdfunding efforts has finished right now. You wanted 38,000. How much did you raise?
We got 32.5.
Okay, so you're missing 6.5.
Right.
All right, so that's what you're looking to raise right now, is the 6.5 to finish that out, or plus more.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know how it is. Like, you can always find ways to improve. We just said, how we came up with our budget is we said, okay, if we could make the best short that we possibly could, what would we need? And that's what we came up with. And anything above that, just either like if we go much above that, then we're maybe skipping the short and going straight into the feature territory. So it just depends on, like, if
and what's the timeline right now, Daniel, on that?
Yeah.
Like, so how much? Answer 2 questions: timeline, sure. And okay, what is the number that you're looking for to go? Okay, man, we've raised enough money. Let's just go straight in 1 hour feature film and do it.
Yeah, the feature, it wouldn't be that much more. We could do a feature. I think we've calculated just under 60,000, but our timeline right now is we're going to work. If we don't raise any more funds, we're going to work with what we have. We're going to have to make some sacrifices on some things, but this is what filmmaking is making sacrifices all the time. So we want to get that goal. We want to reach our goal. But right now, next week, I'm meeting with the editor again. We're going to start, we're starting our, we're getting into our editing timeline from there, and we'll be picture locked hopefully by midsummer. And then we will be applying to festivals in the fall. And so anybody who supported the film, who supports the film, will get a link to the film before, it's like, that's one of the ways that we're able to. We have all kinds of tiers.
Yeah, little tiers, yeah.
Right. So, once we get into film festivals, you know, it's like we're in pitch mode, and we're trying to get this in front of as many people as possible. We think it's worth doing with this film. So yeah, we're excited about a possible feature and a possible docuseries, but the only thing that really is holding us back from that is funding and distribution. So those are things that we're trying to get to.
Okay. If people want more information on the film, see the trailer, understand where they could potentially, you know, send a couple of bucks your way, like, where can people do that?
Yeah, people can go to beardogsfilm.com, and there you can find all the information about the film. You can see a gallery of photos I've taken from the beginning of the project till now. You'll see trailers, you'll see all kinds of stuff. You can learn about you know, the goal of the film and what we're doing, and its history and all that stuff. So there's a lot of great stuff on there. That's where I'd go. You can also follow Bear Dogs on TikTok, and that's I'd have to actually think of that. But on Instagram, we're pretty active on Instagram. It is beardogs_film. And then those are great places. I'm always putting out information on those platforms, but beardogsfilm.com is the best place to go to donate and to learn more about the project.
You got some crazy photos on this website that have nothing to do with bear dogs.
Oh yeah.
Concept, works, apparitions. Jeez.
Yeah, there's that
crazy fool.
Yeah, it's kind of linked up with my personal site right now, but nobody has to go visit my work stuff. That's just work stuff.
And that's Bear Dogs. Oh, interestingly enough, that's where it took me. If you don't know that or not, I typed in beardogsfilm.com and it took me to themodernnegative.com. FYI.
Yeah, it's definitely that's the main site, because that's my production company, is the Modern Negative LLC. So yeah, I'll have to check on that to make sure it's all linked up and running properly. We did have, because we were redirecting people to the crowdfunding campaign, and that just ended yesterday.
Seed and Spark. Yep.
I have to tweak things back to.
Yeah. You'll also see Daniel with a beautiful mustache and no beard.
Yeah, I'm always changing it up.
Well, dude, I hope we can figure out a way to help you. That's the point of this podcast. And if anybody needs more information, again, beardogsfilm.com, and watch the trailer. The trailer's badass. And then reach out to Daniel and see if you can help him succeed. Awesome. So looking forward to it, dude.
Yeah, thanks so much, Robbie. I really appreciate you having me on here. It's been fun.